What is going on, everybody? Oh, wait. I owed you guys a crisis party.
Thank you. That one was for Friday.
That timing was perfect. At least that time.
We're starting off strong.
Yes. I owed you guys that crisis party from Friday. I was just, at the end of the day.
You were forgetful.
I was a little bit forgetful. We went off the air and I went, oh, that one was on me because it went off in my head. If you want to know, I actually got paid back for it. So you win in the end because I took my headphones off and it went off. And if you don't know, it's way louder if you don't have the headphones on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's we're back from the weekend. It's our second to last episode before Thanksgiving. Yep. And I feel the anticipation rising.
Yes. In other words, for the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the holidays. It's going to be a good show today. We got a bunch of stuff to get into. It is a good thing to point out what Mary just said. We do have a 3-hour Thanksgiving special going on tomorrow. 3-hour long episode. We're going to be live from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So, again, remember to check in an hour early. Not an hour later. It's not going to go an hour later. It's going to start an hour earlier.
2 p.m.
So 2
Eastern Standard Time. And I should have made myself clear. That's not our last episode ever. It's our last episode before we're off for a little bit for Thanksgiving. Then we'll be back.
Do you got big Thanksgiving plans?
Going on a trip to Florida.
Girls trip or something like that?
I don't want to disclose where I'm going or who with.
Well, I'm not asking you where you're going, but well, no, because so yesterday I saw they said like, what's the worst millennial invention? Because I had like a tweet about millennials' obsession with irony and sarcasm because millennials are incapable of sincerity. But I saw this other thread about like what's the worst millennial invention ever, and people were saying Friendsgiving or Galentine's Day. Do you vote for either of those?
I thought of something worse than both of those things.
What was
it's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is the worst. If you guys don't know what that is, it's awful. You can go look up videos on TikTok. It's very bad. So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we get started, guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the video with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people you like, people you don't like, everyone in between. The more people that you share the live streams and the segments with, the faster this channel can grow. So thank you guys so much for that. So what are we getting into today? Well, Snow White trailer leaked. It leaked online. It's hard to believe that such a thing even exists anymore in this day and age, leaks like this. But it does happen from time to time. Sometimes trailers get leaked and then, the studio is usually forced to then release it. Disney's not even doing that. They haven't even done that yet. So we're going to get into the trailer. So we're not going to watch the trailer because we don't want to risk getting copyright
get
sued. So we're going to show you screenshots from it and our own personal thoughts and perspectives on it.
We got a $25 super chat from Jose Quintana. Good morning, Overlord and Ghost Empress. I took one for the team. Wicked. Absolutely not for children. Really bad filming. It was soulless, woke, and boring. I left after half the film. Long live PCC. I wasn't hearing from anyone that it was woke.
No, everybody,
or inappropriate for children either.
Everybody that I've spoken to in this space that reviews movies on YouTube seemed to be okay with it, or thought either thought it was okay if you're a guy or if you're a girl thought it was great. I know the Force of Light ladies, I think they loved it.
I think all musicals are boring because every time they break out into a song number, I'm just sitting there waiting for it to be over. It doesn't move the plot along, and it doesn't entertain me.
We're going to talk a little bit more about it at the beginning. I actually thought I'd throw in some of the box office numbers, so we'll get there. But also, Dan Schneider looks to be pushing forward with his lawsuit because dude thinks he's going to clear his name.
Yeah, after Quiet on Set. He wants to claim his innocence in the public eye once again and maybe get work.
So we're going to talk about that. Also, Lindsay Lohan, birthday twin of mine, year and day, is aging backwards thanks to maybe the best plastic surgeon in all of Hollywood. So we're going to get into that because people were having a whole discussion about, she had some rough years in there in like 2014.
You know what? She just gave up eating seed oils. That's how she looks so good.
Is that what it
now.
was?
She gave up seed oils.
I like the idea that there's like a picture of RFK on her bedside. That's what it is. So
For
we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. You ready to get into it?
Let's go.
All right. First things first, since Jose Quintana did say that, let's talk a little bit about Wicked. I decided to throw this in there before we weren't even going to plan on talking about this today, but I did want to talk about the numbers a little bit because in this space, people tend to think that YouTubers want to see movies and television shows fail if it's something that they think that they will not like. This seems to prove that wrong in a lot of respects because a lot of the YouTubers who would normally be critical of something like this because of the behavior of Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, you know, in the lead up to the release of this movie, which was just a mess of tears and long nails and holding space and all of this other stuff. Most of those YouTubers that I saw, now I could be wrong, you know, you might have a flow chart of all of them, they seem to give the movie the praise it was due, or at the very least, admit that it found an audience and did well because it opened to $114 million at the domestic box office.
Does that mean that the girls win because Gladiator 2 made half as much?
Well, yeah. Well,
actually less than half as much in the same
is?
weekend?
It's this is the gender wage gap in reverse.
Did the girls win this time?
The girls won this time.
Or it was the theater kids, the girls and the gays?
Yeah, you might
Hard to tell.
You might be able to say that it's more the theater
girls,
kids.
Gays, and theys won.
But I think that girls is kind of synonymous because they're going to go with their friends.
Right.
Right? So it says the dazzling ticket ranks as the third highest domestic debut of the year behind Deadpool and Wolverine, which opened to $211 million, and Inside Out 2, which opened to $154 million. Among other benchmarks, Wicked landed the fourth biggest start for a musical ahead of Disney's recent The Little Mermaid, which opened to $95 million. And even that, I think, remember when The Little Mermaid opened, I think everyone was a little bit disappointed. They said a Disney princess story or a Disney original, you know, not an original story, but it's a Disney proper, not a Pixar, not a Marvel, not a Star Wars movie, opening for less than $100 million with a character as popular as The Little Mermaid was not a win, right?
Well, Wicked is also another win for Universal. They're just going with hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, Universal just kind of keeps winning.
I don't know why or what secret formula they found.
You know what it is so I saw somebody earlier mention, they said, how is it that Warner Brothers, for instance, is supporting J.K. Rowling, but will put out Velma? See, it's the duality of these studios is you got to have something for everyone. Universal didn't just do Wicked. They have the Fast and the Furious franchise, which always does numbers. Now, granted, those numbers tend to be more overseas now than domestic, but it still makes much more than its money back. It always justifies a sequel. But they stole Christopher Nolan from Warner Brothers, who's no longer making movies over there. They got him to make Oppenheimer over at Universal, and now he's making his next movie over there to the tune of the fact that Warner Brothers actually sent him like a ridiculous Warner Brothers sent him a 7-figure check for like back pay on Tenet because it didn't come out in theaters as like a way to like entice him back to the bargaining table. And he's like, thanks for the money. No, I'm not doing that. So look, $55 million for Gladiator, which didn't get as good of reviews from people that I saw in this space. Most of the people that I saw in this space said that it was unnecessary, that it was lifeless, it didn't need to be made. So what does that say? I think that most people want to be objective when they see these things. And even if you don't like the movie, you cannot go against the success of a movie that does this well on opening weekend. I do have doubts about whether it will have the staying power, given that Moana 2 is set to do big numbers this weekend, and I think that will be Disney's biggest sleeper hit of the year. I think it'll actually probably do better than Mufasa, but I could be wrong.
Will it do better than Inside Out 2?
No, I don't think it'll do better than Inside Out 2. But look, It could be the type of thing where maybe it has even longer legs than that. Maybe Moana 2 steals the thunder for a weekend, and then Wicked comes back the week after and keeps second spot, but with high numbers. But I think there's so much crossover in those audiences that that's not likely to happen. Mm-hmm. But there was people saying they went and saw this movie like 3 times over the weekend. The power of the theater kid.
I mean, I know it's special to a lot of people, so that doesn't surprise me. I was under the impression that being a cult favorite, it wouldn't be this successful in the mainstream.
I mean, but it is a mainstream
audience.
This is a play that even I've heard of, and I don't go to plays.
I hadn't heard of it. I guess I was just not cultured.
Like this
before this came out.
This and Cats are the type of thing that you see like on a television show. A character goes to see the play, but you don't actually see the play.
I guess. Yeah.
So look, it also did 50 million at the international box office, bringing it total to 164 million. And Gladiator did very well at the global box office last weekend. It did not premiere both at the same time. It premiered globally last weekend and then domestically this weekend. But what I thought was funny was director John Chu. He felt like he had to justify why the movie looks the way that it does, which is
Whatever
relevant.
do you mean?
Which is relevant because, as me and you are going to talk about in Snow White, a running theme in Hollywood is, why does everything look like somebody just threw mud on it? Everything looks Gaussian and as if mud was just dumped on top of it. Even when it's colorful, it's not colorful. Right? So it says, they're talking about the numbers here.
He said, in regard to the way the film is a little desaturated, he said there's color all over it. I think what we wanted to do was immerse people into Oz to make it a real place, because if it was a fake place, if it was a dream in someone's mind, then the real relationships and the stakes that these two girls are going through wouldn't feel real.
Look.
We wanted to present the land of Oz in a way that we have not experienced Oz before. It's been a matte painting, it's been a video game, digital world, but for us, I want to feel the dirt. I want to feel the wear and tear of it, and that means it's not plastic. We have the environment. The sun is the main source of light. You see the vast landscapes, you see the air, you see creatures exist here. These two characters that will go through two movies, their relationship with the land is important. Their relationship with the nature of this land, and that the wizard imposed himself. The color contrast goes up over time because that's what Elphaba brings to this world.
Take my glasses off here for a second. And I'm going to give you the J.D. Vance face that he goes, I 110% believe that this was on purpose. I don't think that he's coping. I think the answer is a cope, but he's not coping, meaning that that's what it was intended to be from the beginning. Directors and set designers and cinematographers, these things don't happen on a whim. Millions of decisions go into making a movie like this. So I 110% believe that somewhere a meeting happened where this was discussed and the coloring was done this way on purpose. Whether that is a good thing, I think is objectively wrong or subjectively wrong, at least in my opinion. I don't think that his logic for it makes the sense that he thinks it does to the average moviegoer, but he's not trying to make sense to the average moviegoer. He's an artist giving you the artistic answer behind it. But the problem with it is while I believe that John Chu did this on purpose, this is an ongoing issue with a lot of films today. And Disney, not Wicked, but Disney with Snow White, and Disney with The Little Mermaid, Disney with Pinocchio, Disney with, what was the other one? Tinkerbell.
Oh,
Tinkerbell.
right.
Okay.
The streaming movie.
All of those have the same problem. They look like somebody saturated it and then dumped dirt on it. And it's not colorful to look at in a pleasant way. It's colorful to look at in a faded painting way that I don't think really works in the medium. Now, again, I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional. I'm just giving you my subjective opinion. But, televisions and screens have advanced to this point now where I want to see the colors pop. I want to see an overbearing of saturation in colors, especially for stories like this. Yeah. The main character is green.
Yep.
There was plenty of people on Twitter that were making they recolor graded it themselves and showed pictures of what it could have looked like.
We have the technology.
Yes, exactly. Steve Austin, $6 million man. We can repair him. All I'm saying is that I believe 110% that he did it on purpose. I don't think it's a great idea because now it just looks like everything else that Disney is making. Wouldn't this have been a great opportunity to set Wicked apart from the rest of the stuff that's getting made by the other studios?
Right. I feel like this is just an artsy fartsy self-absorbed answer that to him makes sense with the narrative, but it comes off like a total cope because this is the main thing that they were getting criticized for aside from the press run is that the movie looked like shit. So yeah, it looked soulless. Everything looks soulless now.
I just thought it was funny that he's like, because his answer is like, oh, you can totally believe that like some high-end creative.
So Part 2, Wicked Part 2, which is coming out next year. We should expect that one to look colorful then?
Dude, it's crazy how many people didn't know. Like, if there's one thing that they did a really, really good job of in the lead up to this film, it was not telling you that this was part 1 of 2.
Because they didn't hide the fact that it's a musical.
No.
But most of the time, musicals are hiding the fact that they're musicals. They hid the fact that you're going to have to sign up for a sequel next year.
Yeah.
Which is presumably also going to be like 3 hours long. I have no patience for it.
And in the initial play is like, what, 2.5 hours long to be like whole hog. The whole thing is 2.5 hours long.
So they must be ad-libbing quite a lot here. I
just laugh because John Chu directed like the G.I. Joe movie that nobody in the world likes but me. G.I. Joe Retaliation. So
never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's weird. I just thought anybody would be interested to see that the movie did do very well at the box office. So maybe we have it wrong. Maybe being absolutely insufferable in the lead up to your movies won't kill the box office as long as you put enough gross pink macaroni and cheese behind it and wicked.com boxes on your children's toys.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll still do well.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They cracked the code.
There's a 20 there.
From Jose Quintana, he said, correct on the color grading, Brett. Further, Grande cannot carry a film. Miss Arrivo can actually act. See Harriet. She wasn't the problem. The audience was full, mostly little girls, tweens with their tiresome moms.
Well, there you have it.
Well, why do you think it was inappropriate for children to watch, though? That's what I'm
that would
wondering.
be interesting to know. You'll have to let us know.
I hadn't heard anything about that.
So make of that what you will, guys. But apparently you can still succeed even when your main star just won't shut up and is very annoying. Maybe you just use Rachel Zegler as the benchmark now. Like it's like you can be annoying. You just have to operate. You have to find your middle ground. You can't be Brie Larson pre-2019. You can't be Rachel Zegler between 2022 and 2024. Anywhere before that is acceptable.
That's the sweet spot.
All right.
Well, last week we talked about the latest race swap controversy around the casting of Astrid in How to Train Your Dragon's live-action adaptation. The actress's name is Nico Parker. She is a Nepo baby. She happens to look nothing like the character Astrid as she looked in the animated movie because they decided they just had to race swap a Viking. You just have to believe that because this is a fantasy movie, that in fact the Vikings were black. And if you say anything to the contrary, you are racist. So this got to a boiling point, and now the director of the live action adaptation, Dean DeBlois, had to make a statement in response to the backlash to this race swap. So here's what he said in an Instagram comment section of all places.
I kind of love that. He's just like going off in the comment section.
So he was responding to this person, so I'll read their comment first. I swear y'all have to let go of, oh, Astrid is white, not black. Okay, and it's not about the color. It's about the acting. And plus, a Latina person of color voiced her. So what are you going to hate, the voice actress now? They're referring to America Ferrera, who voiced Astrid in the animated movie. Obviously, that's not the same thing.
Nobody has ever
at all.
Oddly enough, it's the other way. Like, nobody ever had a problem with anybody voicing other races until
or other genders.
Yes,
nobody cared.
Yeah,
there are voice actors who
retired
do that all the time.
Apu and.
Yeah, no one cared. So Dean DeBlois saw this comment and replied.
It was a woman who played Milhouse, who voiced Milhouse, who just retired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dean DeBlois said, exactly. We auditioned many actors for the roles, including actors who looked like their animated counterparts, but we chose the actors who best embodied the spirit and personality of the characters. Since the tribe in this version is made up of descendants of the finest dragon fighters from everywhere the Vikings had ever traveled, which historically was far and wide, Vikings mixed with many cultures, still, we're crafting a fantasy, not historical fact. And all will be revealed in time. We're not making a shot-for-shot remake. We just stuck close to the key moments to honor the original, which I remain very proud of. The teaser features a few of those moments. Instead of a completely new tale, we aimed to embellish and deepen without abandoning the story that fans love. And then he screenshotted this and posted it to his main feed on Instagram, saying Nico Parker is amazing, heart emoji, just wait and see. This, and he's basically amplifying this for the entire audience who is they're dismayed with the decision that they made.
Yes.
Not because it's necessarily like, oh, the historical accuracy, but it's about accuracy to the original movie specifically, you know? If they had just made this not How to Train Your Dragon and you made a fictional fantasy world where Vikings were black, yeah, we would kind of clown on you, but people wouldn't care as much because it's not a character that they care about.
Look, this could have gone away. No, never mind. I'm trying to think of an example where, like, look, I always make the argument to say race swaps will matter less to the average person if it's an actor everybody's heard of. There's a reason why people remember the race swap in the Thor movies with Idris Elba, but they don't bring it up that much, or the fact that, you know, Nick Fury wasn't originally supposed to be Samuel L. Jackson, but somebody else. It's fine because it's Samuel L. Jackson. Everybody loves Samuel L. Jackson. I mentioned Denzel Washington being my favorite actor of all time, and several roles that he's done where this has happened in, and nobody really mentions it because I think the average person, if they're looking at it, they go, well, you know, that actor is of a certain caliber, which means that they understand that for the box office, that can be beneficial to them. Nico Parker had at least one of my favorite scenes in The Last of Us, which was that opening action sequence in the car, and all of those shots I thought were the best CGI work they did in that season, and she did perfectly fine in that. But it is the type of thing that leading up to when does this movie come out?
This is next year.
Next year. It's going to be a lot of debate for a lot of time, and it's going to suck up a lot of the air in the room around the build for this movie.
I think it should be noted that Nico Parker is Tandy Newton's daughter. That's why she's in the industry. That's why she has a leg up in the industry, first off. But she's also a recipient of affirmative action, okay? Because the two biggest roles this girl has had have been race-swapped characters in existing IPs. You mentioned The Last of Us. If you didn't have the context, she is playing Joel's daughter, who died at the beginning of the series. In the video game, his daughter was white, like him. Okay, they race-swapped his daughter in the series for literally no reason. This is what they do. And if you say anything about it, you're evil. So there was her first role that I ever saw her in. And then this is the second one. So once again, you're receiving special treatment because of your race. That is just the fact of the matter. And for some reason, they decided all the rest of the characters adapted in this live action How to Train Your Dragon are going to be similar to the characters they're based on from the animated version. You can see, you know, they didn't change the color of the dragon from black to red or something. They didn't race swap the dragon. All the rest of the characters look similar to the animated counterparts, but her. Why is that? I guess she's just such an amazing actress, except, no, she's just an actress's daughter. I find that a little bit hard to believe. And
too,
you know,
Tandy Newton's actually a really, really good actress, so that's
creating
a tough road to go down.
You're creating a fantasy instead of a historical document, right? Okay, how about all the characters just drive cars in the movie? How about they all have iPhones in the movie? You know, what if they all eat TV dinners?
Hey, I like that idea a lot.
Like, how far are we gonna take this?
I like that idea.
Thank you, guys.
That's good.
Eating the cat.
I love
How about
the idea.
they all wear Shein clothes in the movie?
Perfect.
Because it's not a historical account. It's fantasy, so you can put whatever you want in it, right?
Yep.
But it's not that. It literally is a race thing. It is fundamentally a race thing, and it fundamentally is because they want less white people on screen. That is the point of the race swap.
Well, it's something that they talk about a lot, that it's a mandate that's done because Oscar's so white 2017, and there's a big mandate in Hollywood to do that. You're going to see maybe not less of it now, but it's going to be shifted to other projects. Like, I'm actually surprised they did this. I think we're going to see a point now where they're going to go for accuracy for a while, and then they'll shift back after a period of time. Television is where they'll do it more frequently.
Usually it's lower stakes.
Yeah,
and
lower
that's where they
stakes, lower
experiment
investments.
more.
Yeah. So in movies, I don't think that that's going to happen as much. I saw somebody else posting in the comments that there was some other stuff that was getting cast. I think it was for the new Game of Thrones spinoff that they said that there were no race swaps, and they were all shocked by that. And look, I'm going to maintain that again, this only works for movies and not television shows, because on television shows you're not going to get those bigger name actors, and for a role like this you're not going to have a child actor that has the pedigree of a Denzel, of a Morgan Freeman, of an Idris Elba, like any of those ones. There's a reason why Denzel Washington is given the pass. There's a reason why when people talk about James Bond, a lot of people will give the leeway to the idea of Idris Elba, even though I maintain that he is too old. Race regardless, he's too old. He can't be 60 he can't be 70 when he's making the final one. I get that that's a thing now, that Liam Neeson is finally retiring from action movies in his late 70s and stuff like that. But, you got to start James Bond out in the 30s. But there's a reason why Idris Elba's name comes up in that, because people will give the leeway to the actor who is the most qualified, because they understand why the studio would want them. They draw money, theoretically. So,
But has a black character been turned into a white character?
But I don't have the examples off the top of my head. Not because
the white actor is famous.
I don't know. I mean, I would have asked that question before the show. I could have done the research.
The answer is no. The answer is no, because it doesn't happen the other way around.
I think it does. I think it has happened in the past. In fact, I know it has. I'll look it up after the show. It has. That's not the point. I get your point, but that's not the point of this.
I don't buy it until I see an example, because I've never seen that happen.
Anyways, but if you do want to make that Barack Obama movie with Ryan Gosling, you can now do that.
He's ready to get booked.
He is
immediately.
Yeah. All right.
We want to ask you, the audience, who are the most overrated and overworked actors in Hollywood? Why do they keep getting work when they have no skill to back it up? There was this viral tweet that said, who's an actor with zero chops or range, yet somehow they keep getting work? And they brought up the holy trinity of overrated actors here in the responses, meaning Gal Gadot, The Rock, and Ryan Reynolds, who just starred in Red One. I think those were like the most common responses, but I also saw mentions of Sydney Sweeney as well. I kind of agree with that, but I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
she's not great at acting.
These lists will end up coming down to whether it's an actor you like or not, right? Because the examples that I saw the most of were like The Rock. So it's a matter of whether you like The Rock or not. Pedro Pascal. It's a matter of whether you like Pedro Pascal or not. Zendaya. Jack Black. I feel like Jack Black and The Rock are good examples of like everyone thinks they're going to draw money, but maybe won't draw money, except for, Jack Black was in Super Mario Brothers, and that made like $1 gazillion.
Sorry, I misspoke. So Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, and The Rock were in
Red
the
Notice.
Netflix movie Red Notice,
Correct.
not Red One, which they decided to put out at the exact same time as Red Notice, and expect us not to get confused.
Look, everyone knows that I love bad action movies, or I love generic action movies.
At least you know they're bad.
Even I was by the time Red Notice was done, I was like, not great. Not great. And it was one of their biggest movies they've ever made.
I mean, I just think some people are more marketable than others.
Yeah.
for some intangible reason that you can't articulate.
The Rock might be the perfect example of somebody who should be thought of as like big for streaming, because he's not drawing the numbers that they think that he's going to draw for at the theaters. Other than the Jumanji movies, he did really the Jumanji movies made money.
When was that?
And then
was that pre-COVID?
And what was the other one? Into the Jumanji and Jumanji Into the Jungle or whatever it was, and then he did Jungle Cruise.
That was all pre-COVID,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So since then, he has had 0 successes at the box office. Black Adam flopped.
Like broke even, but didn't make enough money to even justify making a sequel.
Jared Leto was also mentioned here. I could say more obvious ones like The Rock or Gal Gadot, but every time Jared Leto is on screen, he always brings down the film. He is a shitty actor, a pretentious a-hole on set, and an effing weirdo. He's
an example of ones where people think he's gonna bring something to the role. Like a lot of people thought he was gonna add something to Joker. To playing the Joker, and that obviously didn't happen.
One mentioned Timothy Chalamet.
Dallas. Dallas would agree. Dallas from Bonfire Legend absolutely hates Timothy Chalamet. It's one of my favorite things to follow on social media.
Do you know why?
I have no idea. He just loves to dunk on Timothy Chalamet.
But he is a good actor, right?
I mean, I guess.
You saw him in Dune.
Yeah, he's fine in Dune. He was fine in Wonka, but Wonka again.
But Wonka was Wonka.
Yeah. I like the Anna Kendrick. Yes.
I've only seen her in Pitch Perfect and Twilight.
Wet Blanket.
I have no idea.
Make sure she's not in The Accountant too. Whatever you do.
One of the most viral responses was a photo of Zendaya from Euphoria playing Rue. And the caption says, "I'm so tired of this literal Neanderthal." I think a lot of people have Zendaya fatigue.
I think it's, I feel like it's kind of the same way people felt about Jai Courtney, where Hollywood was trying just a little bit too hard to say, this is your next big thing.
What are they trying to make Zendaya into the successor for? Like, the successor to who? Halle Berry?
Maybe. I mean, is there like a Halle Berry's still pretty popular, even if she's not working as much.
Really doing anything anymore.
She did that John Wick movie. I liked her in the John Wick movie.
But Zendaya isn't that. I don't know what she is, but she's just kind of there, and they just cast her in everything, and she somehow ended up being A-list.
Yeah. She's not as talented as... You know who I see a lot of pictures of lately is Daisy Edgar Jones, but nobody's ever talking about her work.
Right. She's now like the next Dakota Johnson. And Dakota Johnson was also named here because she can't act for shit.
Yeah.
She's also a Nepo baby. People don't know that about her.
And I do think that Pedro Pascal fatigue is a thing. I do. I think that... You know why? Is because it would make more sense for you to be fatigued if he was like over the top. Like if you were talking like a Nicolas Cage, who's awesome, and I love Nicolas Cage's work, but has a very particular style that might wear thin on you if you're not a big fan of his. Pedro Pascal is not that. He's just bleh. He's just there. He just kind of fills the role.
I really don't like him.
And does his thing in every movie. And you're like, okay, I could understand if he had like a bunch of breakout roles past Game of Thrones that justified this, but there isn't.
You know who else
really...
I don't like? Ethan Hawke.
No.
I really don't like him.
I like Ethan Hawke. I think of like the Ethan Hawkes, the Josh Hartnett's, and the Edward Nortons as the same scale of actor that I really, really like, but don't get cast in everything because they kind of... I know Josh Hartnett made a preemptive choice to not do a bunch of mainstream stuff after his early 20s, but a lot of them feel like, you cast them because they're more art house.
Same goes for Maya Hawke, by the way, his Nepo daughter. I have no love for her. Rachel Zegler was also mentioned here. She keeps getting work because she's good at singing.
Yeah.
So they're casting her in musical roles.
I mean, in Hollywood is...
But everything else about her kind of flops.
Eugene says Jenna Ortega. I would say Jenna Ortega is picking her projects so carefully that it doesn't feel like she's everywhere.
What is she doing?
Other
lately?
than she did Beetlejuice, and I think they just started filming Wednesday season 2 or wrapped filming Wednesday season 2.
They were tempting the idea of casting her as Joan of Arc, which would make me angry.
Yeah,
I don't want them to.
She left the Scream franchise.
Amber Heard was mentioned here. She's not getting work at all.
She's not really working.
She's not working.
This was more.
She's living off of baby daddy support payments from Elon Musk currently. So.
This was more supposed to be the people that are, what was the word I used? Terminally employed. They're,
right.
They're always. They
my gosh, Aquafina.
I mean.
What?
I mean,
you're gonna defend Aquafina?
No, I'm saying, is she
now?
really in everything? She works. That doesn't mean she's in like everything. Like, if we're talking about who's in everything right now, it's Timothée Chalamet, it's Zendaya, it's Austin Butler, it's
Jason Momoa,
it's Jeremy Allen White. These are the names that you hear consistently now.
Does Jason Momoa count?
Even then,
Lady Gaga, not great in Joker 2.
No,
I didn't see A Star Is Born though.
But a lot of these are just names that
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart makes his own movies though, so that's different. He's employing himself.
I think Ryan Reynolds is the #1 example. I can't stand him for some reason.
I love Ryan Reynolds. Can't help it.
And knowing that he's not actually funny or goofy.
You have no proof of that. That is
makes
hearsay.
Total sense.
That is hearsay, and I will not take that slander.
Soulless.
Though I 110% buy that it's the type of thing where, you know, they're a completely different person on camera than behind the camera.
Yeah.
There's a 20 there from Jose Quintana. Did we miss that one? Or did you get that one?
I'm not sure I saw it.
Says Pedro Pascal and Dakota Johnson.
By the way, should Wicked be compared to the OG Oz? Is showing a married woman having an affair on screen and a gay sidekick part of Arrivo's on-screen entourage off the grid?
I mean, what's the question about that?
So was that part of the plot?
Is what you're saying there? Is that's what made it inappropriate?
A married
for
woman
kids?
having an affair on screen was in Wicked movie apparently, and there was a gay sidekick. I didn't hear about anything like that, but I never watched the play, so maybe they're staying true to the story.
What do you think? Kristen Stewart, overrated?
I mean, she was never a great actress. She just was hired for her looks, which is fine.
And then Dakota Johnson is a good example because the only things people know Dakota Johnson from are 50 Shades of Grey, right?
Yes.
And then Madam Web. And of
was
course,
there anything else?
She was a masterpiece. It was a masterpiece in Madam Web. It's high art, as we all know. And that's an example of somebody who feels very art house, which she's even said. She's got a very Gwyneth Paltrow type vibe when she does interviews. She feels unbelievably inaccessible. And not
What about Dave Bautista?
No, I think he's actually a talented actor. I mean, okay, here's the thing. I think The Rock is actually a talented actor. He's just not doing... No, you have to watch his early stuff. You have to watch the stuff like Empire State when he was doing smaller movies that had a little bit more meat to the roles before he became the generic action star. But I think The Rock can actually act. I do love that he have... Now, again, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed that he supposedly has a clause in his contract that says he can't lose fights in movies, which is perfect because that's the most pro wrestling thing ever. Protect your character at all costs, which is why him and Vin Diesel would always come to a draw in the Fast and the Furious movies because neither of them would let their characters lose.
One of them mentioned was Chris Pratt. They called him an untalented dumbass.
Okay, Chris Pratt and Paul Rudd and John Krasinski are all kind of the same thing.
Actually, I'm seeing like pretty much everyone. Channing Tatum.
Yes,
Henry
Pain and Gain.
Cavill.
Henry Cavill is great.
I mean, if you ask Twitter who is an overrated, untalented actor, you're going to get pretty much everyone in response. Everyone is untalented and no one deserves a job. If you ask Twitter.
I maintain my point here. Yes, go back and watch Walking Tall and Pain and Gain with The Rock if you want to see actual good Rock acting roles. But I also liked him in his first
Keanu
appearances.
Reeves too.
No, wrong. Also, like, go check out The Rock's performance in the first time he was in a Fast and the Furious movie when it felt new and fun at that time. It was good stuff.
J-Lo, abso-freaking-lutely. I don't even think she's a great singer. She just had the right time, right place.
Yeah. I did anybody say Angelina Jolie? They better not have said Angelina Jolie. I rewatched The Bone Collector very, very recently. If you have not seen The Bone Collector with Angelina Jolie and Denzel Washington, where he plays Lincoln Rhyme, who's a quadriplegic, used to be a forensic, like a forensics dude for like the police, and then he solves crime from his bed, his hospital bed. and it's really, really fun. And in the year 2000, when it came out, forensic shows weren't the big thing that they are now, so it actually felt new and fun at the time. But you should go and rewatch that one. It's got Leland Orser. It's got all these great actors, all these great New York actors. It's a lot of fun. Did I see Denzel on there? I think I saw one person mention Denzel Washington. If I could have banned them from X, I would have, but that's just me. You know me. I'm biased.
All right, we're going to get into an insane social media related story. A streamer who goes by the name Emily CC has been streaming on Twitch for over 3 years straight. She has poured her entire life into streaming on Twitch, essentially living in a display case for her viewers. And only just now, just in the past week, has this girl gotten her big break on the platform, getting 10,000 subscribers. She just passed a big milestone for her. It only took 3 years of constantly streaming non-stop, showing her entire life to these strangers. And it was because Kai Cenat gave her a shout out.
I mean, respect.
Why do you respect that? Why should you stream your entire life? That's insane.
Put in the work. I'm just saying, put in the work.
That's not work.
That's
actually
Wait,
that's a deranged psychological experiment. That's some kind of sick form of like performance art.
I'll tell you what, that she got the one big break that she needed, and now she's going to capitalize. I have no doubt.
Well, she got on a call with Kai Cenat and Benny Blanco, weirdly enough. So let's take a look at that. They were praising her for her work ethic here.
This is a streamer.
Ever.
I
dare a nigga to tell me who is the most consistent streamer on the app. Or ever.
You're the number one. We just looked it up. You're the number one most consistent streamer ever.
But you do YouTube, you do everything. Like, you're still doing a bunch of stuff all the time.
Stop trying to sell yourself short. You are the biggest ever of all time.
They're giving her great advice right now, actually. They are.
Not sell herself.
3 years, 24/7. You're good.
Like, I'm sure you're bad at something, but you're not bad at this. You're the GOAT at this. There's nobody even close to you. We looked it up. Nobody's even close to you.
Chat,
I've been trying so hard. Oh my god, this is like...
She needs to hire Hawk 2 as management.
Emily CC, please, bro. She is a bro. Nah, you're like the Kobe Bryant. Like, you have, like, you know, this mom mentality. This Emily mentality. Emily mentality. Like, in the streaming world, like, you got that mentality. I'm not even trying.
She needs to turn that into a hashtag right now and start capitalizing.
Like, I'm not even glazing, chat. She's literally grinding.
Thank you. That means so much also coming from you and all of you. Seriously.
Okay, so what this could lead to is, like, if she gets enough infrastructure from this, meaning like enough subs, she can start hiring help to start, you know, simulcasting and clipping to other platforms and all this stuff. It's very likely that that one shout out will end up changing her life.
Of course, it already has, but my question is, how do you even end up in this position without losing a part of yourself or just losing your sanity? You cannot possibly broadcast your life for multiple years, nonstop, 24/7, without it having a negative effect on you. And I don't even want other people to see this as an example of their success story if they do the same thing. That's not what's going to happen, most likely, for you if you try the same thing. It's actually just going to destroy your mentality completely.
I don't think that the new generation needs these examples to fall into this pattern. I think they fall into this pattern anyway because the new generation is growing up increasingly online. I think this is going to happen either way.
But seeing examples like this definitely incentivizes people to think, like, I'm going to blow up if I give my entire life for Twitch clout.
I mean, there's a whole
there's no way to do this in a healthy way. That doesn't exist.
It's really funny because that's the whole discussion people have about social media in general, right? It's like people who say, I post for me. It's like...
And also, I'm saying this, we are saying this as people who stream for just a couple of hours a day, 5 days a week. And we give a lot of effort and a lot of ourselves into this show. Can you even begin to grasp the like the amount of herself and her identity she is pouring into streaming her entire existence?
I mean, I couldn't do that because I value my privacy.
Like, how do you even maintain relationships? How do you take care of yourself? How do you do anything? It doesn't make sense. And she was doing all of this without even having a large following.
Well, yeah, that's the most interesting part, right? Is that it's the most successful in these platforms don't do it because it makes them money. The money is a byproduct of them doing something that they want to do anyways. So the question is, what influences somebody to want to do that? I don't know. It's not a choice that I would make, but I don't look. If the idea here is that she was just doing it for the sake of doing it, I can't speak to it because it's not the mind state that I would have in that situation. But if the idea here was that she was grinding it out and trying to make a living doing this, then she got the break she needed. She just took a very, very long path to do that and may not approve of it, but this is going to be a career path that a lot of people are going to seek and choose. Now, here's the thing. Most people will burn out. Most people will burn out because they want the growth. They want the, the responses and the adulation that comes with growing on a platform like this. They might say it's because they want to do it the way it is, because it's what they want to do. But there's a reason why. Look, if you go look up on, for instance, podcasts, right? If you go look up on any podcast platform and just pick a topic you like and go look through podcasts. I use entertainment as an example. And you'll see like endless examples of podcasts that have like 1 or 2 episodes. And then none. Like they just, from like 10 years ago. They tried it a couple of times, decided it wasn't for them, and then fell off. This is the type of thing where a certain personality might be able to do it for 3 years, but the average person isn't going to be able to.
Right. I mean, I don't even think that is a bad thing. No. That most people wouldn't be capable of this. That means you're more mentally healthy than the person who is capable of doing this.
And if it's affecting your personal life and suddenly you're not in a relationship anymore because your boyfriend or or your girlfriend's like, hey, I want to spend time with you. It's like, yeah, well, the camera has to be on. That's a whole nother discussion.
Like, that's insane. So there's another clip of her real-time reaction to hitting 10,000 subscribers thanks to Kai Cenat's boost that he gave her. She actually bursts into tears in this video.
Gerard and Sheared. X500. And I help too. We love you, Emily.
Oh my god.
I don't know if the song is copyrighted.
She doesn't seem like the most I
don't
don't know, she doesn't really seem happy.
No, she's very, very happy. She's so happy that she's in tears right now. If anything, what she is she's proving that she was built for this because, look, being able to just emotionally go and cry on stream is something that audience will be hungry for because it feels more real to them.
That's why I think it's weird. Yeah. What type of person wants to watch a 24/7 basically surveillance footage of another person? That is not right.
The new generation does.
That doesn't it doesn't matter that they do it, but it's why do they do it?
Why are they interested in it? Because it's less predictable than TVs, movies, and radio and all other forms of entertainment.
Less predictable, or is it because it's more intrusive?
Both.
And that it's more parasocial, which are both the reasons why it's
literally
bad.
Both. That's why
those are the reasons why it's bad. At least you can get on board with that idea.
Yeah.
If I found out that you watched a 24/7 Twitch stream of someone sleeping, I think I would never see you the same way ever again. I would actually find that to be a marker of someone clinically insane.
I don't watch streams, but I'm also not of the generation that watched a lot of them. So
okay,
less common
regardless of age, if anyone watches that, that is really weird.
Well, likely
Just
what will end up happening
weird.
is she will move on from here after a certain subscriber count and growth. She will branch out and start doing different types of streams and will be able to move away from just streaming 24/7 and move into doing other types of work in the same area that will be more diversified.
These are a couple of responses. This isn't a feel-good story. Others will now try to replicate it. Your entire life should not be consumed. Your entire consciousness can't be a product. This cannot be healthy by any means. As someone who works in social media, etc., to me, this proves that Twitch has really shit discovery features for creators. 3 years, 24/7, only to get 10K. Put that time into YouTube and you would be leagues ahead of everyone. That much is true, actually. Like how that's a terrible sign for the viability of Twitch as a streaming platform.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, but I also don't want to find out the answers.
Look, I'm not saying that any of it is healthy. I don't think that the concept of streaming 24 hours a day is 24 hours a day is healthy. It's the road she chose, meaning like she chose an idea. She's like, this is my selling point, and I'm going to go with it, right?
It's like Fish Tank.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when I looked at this. I thought of Fish Tank. But
at least Fish Tank only lasts for like a month.
And then you have
3 years.
And then you have somebody like a Haley Welch who turned one viral moment into a very, very successful career already, and it's only been a couple of months. With the right business acumen, she could turn this into a lot more if she wanted to. Getting your name out there one time from a streamer as big as Kai Cenat is all it really takes to go viral.
He was her
in that
Hawk
sense.
Tua.
Yeah, he was. All right.
What?
Right. I'm saying, what do you think? Do you think somebody like this moves on, or do you think she continues doing the same thing?
What do I think she'll do next?
Yeah.
I mean, she probably is just going to continue streaming. She's not going to stop.
All right.
Why stop now?
Yeah, there's more money to be made. All right, cringe or cute of the day?
You decide.
Okay. Let's do cringe first, because I'm going to show several cutes of the day.
Oh yeah, we were in the middle of a cute drought.
And now we
the
have
other day.
Now we don't have a cute drought, and I want to get to more because you've sent me a bunch, and I want to get through at least 3 or 4 of them today, and then 3 or 4 of them tomorrow because they're starting to.
The dam
populate.
has broken.
It has. It has. All right, let's do cringe first then. Hold, please. Yeah, I read the quote on this one enough to know how bad this one is.
This is a woman watching Moana 2,
listening.
and she awakens the Polynesian spirit within her.
It says, for the people listening, it says, POV, you're just a white gal who got overwhelmed by the power of the Polynesian culture while watching Moana 2. I know when I go for authentic, cultural portrayals, I always go to Disney.
Wait, so you haven't seen this yet?
No.
Okay,
I'm
good.
saying, but I read this enough to know
good.
that it was going to be awful.
That was her honest reaction to watching Moana.
I mean, to be fair, this was me in Deadpool 2 when he puts like the bone through the guy's head at the very beginning.
Did you scream?
Yeah, I screamed.
In the movie theater?
No, I did not.
You actually shrieked with joy.
Okay.
This is actually worse than if someone were like singing along to Wicked in the theater.
It's worse because she's filming it. Like it's cringy if she does it at all. It's 10 times worse if she's like surreptitiously got her phone and she's like,
is this cultural appropriation? I don't know. I'm just going to say that this is cultural appropriation so that she'll stop out of fear of being canceled.
Fair enough. All right. Cute of the day. Here we go. Let's get through some of these. First one's from Heather Chancellor. Says, Meg recently turned 10 and now she needs glasses to watch PCC. That is a very cute dog.
Cute with the spectacles.
And it looks very erudite. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. This one's from Magdalene. Says, I don't even know what this says. Picture perfect little bunny, ain't he?
There's a bunny in there.
Yep.
I can barely see, but it is a cute bunny.
It's very British, this text. It says, he is a perfect little bunny, ain't he? Proper show off, that one.
What's all this, man?
What's all this,
What's
then?
all this?
All right. Oh yeah. So I'm watching the Alex Rider television show now, guys, which, by the way, high recommend for me. At least I'm 3 or 4 episodes in, and my God, is it dark for a show that's about a teenage spy, because it's just like literally the whole thing is shot in near pitch darkness, and it's got just ominous music the entire time. Every single shot is a slow zoom dolly shot pushing in on the subject of the frame. And I think it's part of it is like the first season was filmed during COVID, so I think there was like
depression in the air.
Well, and there was an attempt to like do as many one shots as possible so that you don't have to put as many people next to each other. Like there was like a scene where there's kids in a classroom in the Point Blank Academy, and they all just seemed like oddly far apart. I'm like, they're not using the best use of their space here, but I do highly recommend it. If for no other reason, then it's unapologetically dark. It actually tackles the question of like, wow, it's unethical to make a 16-year-old be a government agent. And the score is really, really electronic and dark, kind of like Blake Neely's work when he did the Blind Spot soundtrack for the show. He also did all of the Arrowverse shows, but it's very, very good, and it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, as fun as dark and brooding
Doesn't
can be.
sound fun, but
Fun is, it's
like
fun.
watching
that it's,
someone getting waterboarded. If that's your idea
Yeah.
of fun, then go
it's
for
enjoyable.
it.
All right, let's do 2 more here. This one's from Zen. It says, cute of the day.
Very
Nope.
cute, very fluffy.
That is very cute. Let's do one more. All right, this one is from... Oh, that one went away.
We don't have a fourth.
Here we go. Scared waiting for Christmas snacks. Says bad.
Aw,
That is a cute dog.
under the tree,
Yep.
like a present.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about Rachel Zegler
Yeah.
again.
Disney has yet another problem on their hands ahead of the release of their live-action Snow White remake. Unfortunately, someone in Ukraine leaked like the entire trailer, and you would think this studio would get ahead of the problem by just releasing it on their own, the way that GTA did. They had to release their trailer because someone leaked it online outside of their permissions. But Disney has not gotten ahead of the problem, and now this trailer is just spreading everywhere on Twitter, on YouTube. We unfortunately cannot show it on the show because we don't want to get sued. We don't want any trouble. But we watched through it and off air, and we're going to show you some stills just to illustrate how badly they color graded and lit this film.
It's the same thing I was talking about with
completely
Wicked.
soulless. It's the same exact discourse that was going around about Wicked. It just looks soulless, especially granted that this is supposed to be a magical fairy tale.
Did you see there was somebody like made a tweet that said like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and somebody said, POV, you've never seen anything.
Yeah, like you're blind and you just got cured. So let's take a look at some of these
okay.
stills from the movie.
Here's one. Hold on, and there we go.
That was in the opening scene.
Okay.
There's Gal Gadot as the evil queen.
Like again, I'm fine with the actual color choices they're making here, but a little bit more vibrancy would go a long way.
I don't know how I feel about them giving her drag queen makeup as the evil queen, but I don't know. She had pretty crazy makeup in the animated version.
Here's I like this one. There's Gal emoting.
Gal is giving Rachel Zegler a very evil smile.
Yes, she is.
In this one, by candlelight. Rachel Zegler trying not to look evil. She's like trying to catch a butterfly in that one, I guess. Those are the CGI dwarves, all lined up.
All lined up.
In the darkness, once again, completely in the dark, because they had to rush this.
Again, it
She's
all looks
there
very...
with a lantern in front of all the dwarves.
Again, why is there not some better key lighting and some vibrancy to the background? I'm not saying that it has to glow, but I'm saying that it looks like it wasn't lit anywhere but in the foreground.
I mean, isn't that just because they're trying to get away with CGI mistakes?
I mean, that's the general idea with these
because
things.
they had to do CGI dwarves last minute.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely a last minute hodgepodge. There she is, looking at the dwarves, giving them a speech or something.
And that just reeks of
Handmaid's Tale
and CGI. Well, no, no CGI. Just
no, but she's wearing a red cloak, and it kind of reminded me of that. Is all. There's another still of Rachel Zegler.
Again, this is a shot where I see tons of potential in how it could have been better lit.
Yeah, she's like catching a firefly in this one. She doesn't look bad. The hairstyle just wasn't it. There's another one of Gal Gadot.
This is them just going out of their way to make sure that Gal Gadot didn't look more beautiful.
What do you mean?
Well,
how so?
It's lit badly. It's colored badly. It's graded badly, and it looks like they've like the way that it forms the shape of her head.
She looks like an egg.
Yeah.
They also tell me what that crown is, because that looks like a dunce cap to me. Okay. That crown looks ridiculous.
All right. So, look, I want to know your thoughts on the trailer in general.
I mean, I noticed that some of the songs were completely new and originally made for this movie, not derived from the animated musical. And the lyrics to those songs were about becoming the girl that she knows she can be, or whatever she was talking about at D23.
Well, I did like that they were talking
back
about how
in 2022.
She talks about taking back our kingdom. They're like, oh, look, she's a socialist hero. She's gonna take back the kingdom for the people.
You can tell that they're kind of making Snow White into a bootleg Joan of Arc, I guess.
There's a 20 there.
She's becoming the leader that she knows she can be and that her late father told her she could be. Ruben the Imitator said, "O Mary, Sir Laurence Olivier, a dearly respected white English actor, played Othello the Moor in Othello by William Shakespeare. Moors are a black tribe indigenous to North Africa." I was under the impression that North Africa had different skin tones to sub-Saharan Africa, but I could be totally wrong.
But yeah, so I saw the trailer, and the first thing I thought was, it was kind of the same way that I felt when the Wish trailer came out, and then was proven correct when Wish the movie was actually out and we saw it, which was that nothing that really comes from Disney these days, again, this is just my opinion, and this could be something that you may see it vastly different than me. It's all a matter of perspective. That's fine. None of it feels like it comes from the mind of a single person who wants to make something creative anymore. Even the remakes, in the remakes, you can kind of understand that a remake is supposed to be adapting something very specific. But even Wish, which was its own original tale, felt like everything came off of a factory assembly line, and it was devoid of an artistic expression that spoke to an audience, because it didn't feel like the artistic expression of one person or a small group of people. It felt like a bunch of executives got into a room and gave orders to some creatives who were then handcuffed by the process of filmmaking at the company. And what comes out feels lifeless and soulless and devoid of any actual introspection on the material.
Wish was yet another Disney princess story they came up with where she has no love interest in the film.
Well, as we know, Disney doesn't like doing that anyways anymore. Even in Little Mermaid, it felt begrudging.
Yeah, we got the hint that they're extremely downplaying Snow White's love story in this version of it, unless things have changed since Rachel Zegler said that.
Again, you can't...
But they did show her... I don't know who this guy is. Jonathan was the actor's name.
Yeah.
They showed the prince in this trailer. So maybe they kind of went back on that and rewrote the story.
The best thing that they could have done would have been to just incorporate more of the romance into it. And I think a lot of people, that would have spoken to them.
I mean, if you can go back and add CGI dwarves to all of the scenes in the movie, you can certainly go back and make sure that there is a love story in the movie.
Yeah. And I think that even if you make the rest of the changes, even if you change all of the rest of the story around her and the evil queen, just the fact that they'd be willing to lean into the romance would feel so opposite of everything Disney's doing these days.
She's not dreaming of being saved by the prince. She's not dreaming of true love, Brett.
I would be more
She's dreaming of things that are more important than love.
I would be more
like political power.
Like political power. I would be more interested to know, look, if there's any ladies.
Snow White is Hillary Clinton.
If there's if there are any ladies in the chat, I don't know how many women watch this show live, but I can't pretend to feel like I'm heavily connected to the material. I'm not. It doesn't really matter to me. But it would be interesting to know who, if anyone in the audience who is a girl who did grow up loving Disney princess stories and does, cherish those stories about finding love and romance, what they think of that idea, of what changes could have been made to it. Because I can't bring myself to pretend to be outraged other than the fact that it looks like slop. It looks like CGI slop. Yeah. But I get it. Right?
One thing I know for a fact will be removed from the live action remake that was in the animated movie is any portrayal of Snow White praying. I remember this. I watched the animated movie not too long ago just to be sure I knew what I was talking about, comparing it to the live action when that comes out. And they portrayed Snow White praying at her bedside, kneeling down and praying for the dwarves. And I thought that was really beautiful and very innocent, and it comes from such a different time in the culture.
Like Winnie the Pooh carrying a gun.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, they certainly will not portray anything like that. And it just seems like the more people see of Rachel Zegler as Snow White, the less they want to watch this movie. It's not convincing them. It's actually deterring them from watching the movie. And this kind of blossomed into a larger conversation about how Hollywood can't seem to get casting Snow White correct. Every time they try, it's a disappointment. And obviously, Rachel Zegler is one of those examples. But also Ginnifer Goodwin from Once Upon a Time playing Snow White. And also, controversially, Kristen Stewart from Snow White and the Huntsman, which was not a Disney movie.
Yes.
Rather based on the original fairy tale. I thought that Snow White and the Huntsman was pretty good, and I thought that Kristen Stewart was not a bad choice for that.
I didn't know that there was a 2001 Hallmark Snow White starring Kristen Cruick. I love Kristen Cruick. She's in Murder in a Small Town, which I'm watching right now. She's been in all sorts of things like Smallville that I really, really like. So they've made their stabs at this over the years, of course. I like Ginnifer Goodwin in Once Upon a Time, and I actually would encourage, if anybody wants to watch especially those early seasons of Once Upon a Time, maybe the last time you'll ever get to see those types of stories done with more love than what you see now would be to go back and rewatch those.
Yeah, I think also I realized you need to strike a balance between Rachel Zegler's attitude about Snow White and Ariana Grande's attitude about Wicked. Like, it doesn't, the IP that you're being invited into doesn't need to be your entire freaking religion, like your entire personality. You don't need to cry every time that it's mentioned. You don't need to be like performatively just this overwrought, like complete outburst of emotion about it. But also, you shouldn't say negative things about it.
So find a middle ground.
Outdated, calling it scary, saying you didn't like it. You know. Try to find a middle ground if you can.
I think the best thing they could have done after the initial backlash would have been to embrace the storyline with the prince and cast real little people.
Yeah, I mean, would that have taken less time than what they ended up doing?
I think don't use CGI dwarves. And increase the storyline with the prince, and then everything else can be exactly as you did it. You can do all the girl bossing you want as long as she's a girl boss that falls in love, and then you get the best of both worlds.
Snow White in the animated movie didn't do shit for the kingdom, okay? I don't remember that being a part of the story at all. So I'm already not excited to see this. But let's take a look at some super chats.
Let's do it.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. Thanks to all who voted in the 50s era PCC poll on Saturday. The short will be out tomorrow morning. It has become my favorite piece, and I can't wait, I think you mean, for all you to see it."
I think I voted for 3 or 4. I said either of those would have been good for me. There was 4 choices of logos for PCC.
Logos?
1950s era PCC.
Oh.
And I voted for 3. I was indecisive as always. I said 3 or 4 were good.
I already like the sound of this.
Yep.
Pop Culture Junkie said, "Mary, the expression on your face on today's thumbnail is priceless. I think a caption contest is warranted." I usually try to switch it up for the thumbnails, and then Brett just does the same expression every day. You know, someone's got to do it.
Stoicism, it's important for guys.
Greg Duvier said 3 hours of NPR Brett tomorrow.
I mean, that's
Do we get 3 hours of NPR Brett?
That's how we could get the show to 3 hours if I just talked like this the whole day.
It's just going to make everyone deeply uncomfortable.
Well, it's like, have you seen that meme that goes around recently where it's like what an ADHD person looks like when you've started talking and they already know what you're going to say and they're like
vibrating.
Yeah.
Pop Culture Junkie said Universal's internal projections of Wicked's December box office include a fair amount of repeat business.
Yeah.
You gotta have like a diagnosed mental disorder to go see Wicked, which is 3 hours long, multiple times in theaters.
Or
get a job.
Or a lot of free time.
Yeah, get a job. Dingus Khan said, "Do you think eventually Fast and Furious movies will be exclusively electric cars?"
I don't think that will ever happen, no.
They are faster, though.
I don't think
Teslas are faster.
See, I was thinking about it. This is just my thought. It's like, what if the final scene for the Fast and the Furious, like the very last scene, is like Dom finally dies because his car runs out of gas. It's just you know, he's getting away, he's pulling away, and he thinks he's gonna make it, and then his car just runs out of gas, and somebody blows him up.
That's just end
how
scene. That's just the perfect cherry on top.
I mean, I'm still like, what could be more on brand? Like, every time I watch the movies, I'm like, really? No, nobody ever runs out of gas? Just feels like it could happen.
I mean, I thought the same thing when I watched Mad Max.
Yeah.
Fury Road.
Well, they might have refueling
Like, I know the whole
systems.
point is that they're constantly looking for more gas, but like, how do they not run out more often? Jared Klein said, hello, Brett, Mary. I'm a newer listener to PCC. Hold, please.
Hold, please. That would be really funny. Like they try to make Dom get in a Tesla and he just punches someone in the face.
He needs to find a charging station. And he's just stranded in the desert or something.
I love that. I love the idea that he just has a visceral reaction. So he goes like, opens the door to a Tesla and he just cold clocks him in the face.
Jared Klein said, hello, Brett and Mary. I'm a newer listener to PCC.
Hello.
Can you both tell me where you're from, where/if you did undergrad, and what led you to start PCC? He also said, Mary, I'll need a more extensive interview later to write the musical of your life, which we'll call I Hate Musicals.
What if there was?
Please don't do that.
If there was a musical of your life, what song would be the main song?
If there were a musical of my life, I would actually come back from the dead to put a stop to it, because everything about me should say I oppose that idea.
Yeah.
Like, that would be worse than spreading my ashes in the ocean. But
what was the first part?
They want to know where you are from and where or if you did undergrad and what led you to start PCC. So, I didn't start PCC. You go ahead.
I'm from like the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I did not go down. I went to I got my degree in the back of a paper napkin. I went to tech school, and then PCC was just. I was originally hired here to do camera work for the vlog, and Tim heard me whining about how awesome the X-Files was and how much better it was than everything else that comes out these days. And I think just to get me away from him, he said, go start a podcast talking about that stuff. So that's how we started this. And then Mary started a couple months later.
It was like 4 months later.
4 months later.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am from Maryland originally. I did not get an undergrad degree. I dropped out of college, and yeah, I've already told the story of how I ended up here, so we're not even going to rehash that, but thank you for
the
listening.
whole point, he said he's a new listener, so you have to rehash it.
I know, but you can go find it if you're a real fan, you know? Do your homework. We can't spoon feed everything to you guys.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're very glad that you're here.
Channel.
Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. All right.
In May of this year, Dan Schneider launched a lawsuit against the producers of the Quiet on Set documentary at Discovery, and he said that they were defaming him by implying that he was either complicit or participatory in the abuse of minors at Nickelodeon back when he was an executive there. So I went back and saw the text in this lawsuit he filed in May. It says, Quiet on Set's portrayal of Dan Schneider is a hit job. While it's indisputable that 2 bona fide child sexual abusers worked on Nickelodeon shows, for context, that includes Brian Peck and Jason Michael Handy, I believe was his name, 2 convicted PDF files from Nickelodeon. They said it's likewise indisputable that Dan Schneider had no knowledge of their abuse, was not complicit in the abuse, condemned the abuse once it was discovered, and critically was not an abuser himself. But for the sake of clickbait, ratings, and views, or put differently, money, defendants have destroyed Dan Schneider's reputation and legacy through the false statements and implications that Schneider is exactly that. Yeah. So he felt he had grounds for a defamation lawsuit against the producers of this documentary, this docuseries. We actually reviewed it episode by episode, and we recall what it implied and what it said explicitly about Dan Schneider. I think the only thing that it implied is that Dan Schneider had inappropriately close friendships / working relationships with the Nickelodeon child stars, including and especially Amanda Bynes.
There's a 20 there.
This was
also shout out to Camelot, who's in the chat
Quintana. Right. I plan to see Gladiator 2 in the next few days. We'll give a review next week. Weather alert, huge storm predicted for Thanksgiving. Overlord and Empress, favorite food at the dinner table for Turkey Day. Long live PCC.
Literally just plain rolls and I'm kidding.
What?
Plain rolls and mashed potatoes. I just eat turkey. I don't like turkey, but I eat it at Thanksgiving.
But it's not your favorite.
It's not my
Your
favorite.
favorite is a dinner roll.
Yes. And mashed potatoes.
What the hell is wrong with you?
By the way, the reason why this show works and the reason why Mary reads is because she uses words like participatory and portmanteau in sentences.
And historicity. I remember you had an aneurysm over that the other day. My favorite food for Thanksgiving is actually the leftover sandwiches that you make out of the turkey and the cranberry sauce. So I don't know if that counts, but there's your answer. So now the more recent development is a judge has allowed Dan Schneider to proceed with this defamation suit against the producers of the documentary. I want to ask, do you think that there is legitimate grounds for this?
Probably. I mean,
like, did they go too far?
Like, outside of evidence that he actually did, look, we can all know and know without actually knowing. You can think you know, but outside of somebody coming out and providing actual evidence, which is the hardest part of all this stuff, the most heinous crimes that can happen are the ones that will never have evidence shown to them because nobody went to the cops. No kits were filed. If something like that happened, obviously that's not even what they're talking about here. And that means you're grounds for a lawsuit. If you can't prove it, you better be ready to face a lawsuit. And everyone can use, what do they call it? Preponderance of evidence, right? Like, look at that's the reason why they did the first few episodes about how he treated the adults like crap too, to lead you into it.
Actually, I mean, if we're to believe the testimony of a bunch of the parents of the child actors who were on All That, who were on other Dan Schneider produced shows, they said that he went behind closed doors with some of these child actors privately to work with them on their scenes or whatever. I don't even know if he did anything, behind those closed doors with any of them, but that's actually breaking the law regardless. Yeah. Because the law is that you need to be within eyeshot and within earshot of their parent / legal guardian at all times.
So what they would be talking about here is breaking like child labor laws, not even the type of laws that Dan Schneider is suing for.
Right. And then aside from that, he definitely seemed to have an inappropriate friendship with Amanda Bynes when she was a child,
and in making your adult coworkers look at porn. It was the 90s. Look,
he's obviously a perv.
The world is very different now from the world that he inhabited when Nickelodeon was in its heyday. But that doesn't mean that the things that are being the accusations that are being thrown out can be proved, and the law isn't about what's right. The law is about what you can prove. He
did surely a lot at Nickelodeon that was wrong and should be called out, but it was not illegal, including that what you just said, like being inappropriate with adult coworkers as well. But you saw, in the documentary, they show pictures of him with Amanda Bynes from her earliest days starting out at Nickelodeon when she had her own show and when she was on All That, where they're like touchy-feely together. Yeah. She's like seen giving him massages on his shoulders and his neck.
Again,
and that's so far beyond the pale of what's appropriate.
I think people in the chat that I was being serious. No, my joke is that when I say it was the 90s, the joke of that is that things were so different back then that it's used as like this magic wand to just absolve anything that happened back then. Now, it was the 90s can be used in a good context too, of just talking about how some things were better back then, but that's not what this is.
Some things were better. Some things evidently were worse, but they were just hidden from public view. And I think there is evidence, Amanda Bynes ending up as mentally deteriorated as she is today
Again,
is evidence that something went wrong.
Yeah, that's evidence to us. That's not evidence to a court. That's the problem.
I know. It's just evidence to the court of public opinion. Yeah. And I think that's what Dan Schneider is trying to point out, that they have implied that he was one of the abusers at Nickelodeon, or that he was aware of abuse at Nickelodeon and didn't do anything about it. I think actually the latter situation is far more likely. And say what you will, but he was incredibly talented and a kingmaker at Nickelodeon, had all the power in the room.
He had a gift for creating things that drew viewers. He absolutely did. And here's the thing. This is what I was talking about in regards to J.K. Rowling, which is that you're given leeway. Follow me here.
No,
you're given leeway when you create things of value. So J.K. Rowling can have whatever views she wants, as long as she keeps, owning a property that just gives Warner Brothers license to back up the money truck. That's fine. The same thing would have been true back in the 90s for Dan Schneider, which is that as long as he kept delivering hit shows, they're not going to look too hard at all of this other stuff.
Mm-hmm. So this says the judge has denied a motion filed by attorneys for Warner Brothers and Sony, which had sought to throw out Dan Schneider's lawsuit. Yeah. And then she wrote that Schneider's lawyers argued persuasively that defamation can be implied from Quiet on Set, that the trailer and documentary state or imply Schneider sexually abused children who worked on his shows, and that Schneider was a child sexual abuser. So she says there is possibly a case to be made here that the producers of Quiet on Set were liable for damages to his career and his reputation. And it's crazy how immediately the first responses to this news are blaming Trump somehow.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, this person said, this is what happens when you elect a convicted rapist. A precedent to protect abusers that was already set is further strengthened. Other people said this judge was appointed by Trump, which is not factually true. We actually checked. This judge was appointed by Biden.
Yes.
But they're somehow wrapping Dan Schneider into the...
I saw people...
This is like all of the people I hate. They're all the same.
I saw people saying that the reason why the studios are playing nice now is because they think Trump is going to come after them. People are so brain dead that they think that the reason why actors didn't want to work with Sebastian Stan on Actors wasn't because they didn't want to have their audience by talking about Trump in a situation where no good can come of it. They thought they didn't want to do it because they were worried that Donald Trump would come after some random actor from Variety's Actors on Actors segment because they're brain dead.
LMAO. Just LMAO. LOL. LMAO even.
LMAO even.
Well, I think this actually, in a weird way, validates some of our criticisms of Quiet on Set from back when we were watching and reviewing the episodes. It was frustrating to watch, where they kind of approached a substantive look at Nickelodeon's history and then backed away from it over and over again.
Well, because they couldn't prove it.
Exactly. But then as a replacement for the substance they couldn't find because some people wouldn't give them interviews or wouldn't give them documented evidence, or, some things just can never be known, they replaced that with people complaining about Dan Schneider being a jerk, which he definitely was. Yeah. Okay, he was a nightmare to work with, it sounds like. But they replaced that substance. They sold you a documentary about rampant child abuse at Nickelodeon, and then what they gave you was half that, and then half... Yeah. Dan Schneider has a foot fetish, and he was a jerk to his coworkers.
The first episode was masterfully done if you were trying to appeal to emotion, which had nothing to do with children. It was just that he treated the women that worked for him, the adult women that worked for him, poorly, and that primes you emotionally for episode 2.
Oh, this is a bad guy. Yeah. I'm ready to...
Again, everyone was ready to believe you from the beginning.
Right.
You don't need to prime anyone to believe that Dan Schneider is a bad dude.
These rumors have been everywhere for years before the documentary was made, so I think that's actually the best defense they have against Dan Schneider's defamation suit is people already thought you were an abuser before.
I wonder what's going to happen to look, Sonic 3 is about to come out. And one of the things that came out in that documentary was that James Marsden spoke on behalf of Brian Peck. And James Marsden is one of the stars of the Sonic franchise. And I wonder if that will be something that comes up in the process of, I mean, I guess it probably won't. I mean, the movie's coming out in less than a month, I think, or in about a month. So I don't think it's going to hurt their box office. But when that initially came out, I'm like, is they going to push the release date?
Nobody's bringing it up. Yeah.
There's a 20 there.
Corey Anderson said, I feel if you are defamed and do not sue, you are probably guilty. Aside from that, is it a sin to fight the Pope? The Bible doesn't say, and if Paul can get 65 million viewers to fight Tyson, I can top it fighting the pontiff? I don't know what any of that means. But I almost disagree with the principle that if you're defamed and you don't sue, you're guilty. Because that just means you're expecting everyone to have the resources to sue for defamation. That's not always the truth.
I mean, it's predominantly, I mean, not predominantly, but it will disproportionately affect people of means, though.
Right. So, I mean, Dan Schneider is, I guess, hoping to clear his name and claim his innocence in his industry. It's funny because, you know, nobody in Hollywood actually cares whether or not you're this bad, like, villainous
They care if you
abuser.
get caught doing it.
They care if you get caught. So, I mean, he's going to be fine either way, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those royalties are juicy. Okay, Pat the Plumber said, you said 2 movies. Please don't tell me I have to see advertisements for Wicked 2 Electric Boogaloo.
You will?
You, in fact, will have to be bombarded
It will be interesting.
with
So
Wicked marketing.
Part 1 was just advertised as Wicked. Does that mean Part 2 is going to be called Wicked Part 2, or are they just going to call it Wickeder?
Wickedest.
I did like the John Wicked meme that somebody made where Cynthia Erivo is John Wick.
Missed opportunity there. That would have been a worthy follow-up to Barbenheimer.
It would have.
Yeah.
John Wicked.
Shane H. Wilder said, I looked it up. The Broadway musical is only 2 hours and 45 minutes with a 15-minute intermission. How did they turn it into 2 3-hour movies? I guess they just...
It's like that crappy final verse to the song The Hurricane by crappy Bob Dylan, where he just goes off into La La Land and makes no sense.
I don't know how we got on Bob Dylan hate again, but...
I mean, there's always time for Bob Dylan hate.
Pop Culture Junkie said, the ability to go through hundreds of possibilities for color grading a scene in minutes has forced a narrow range of palettes to be in fashion. Hollywood group think it at its best or worst.
Read the first part of that again.
He said the ability to go through hundreds of possibilities for color grading a scene in minutes has forced a narrow range of palettes to be in fashion.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I don't really know about the technical side of all of it.
I think a lot of it's just like, look, they're taking on more on their plates and they're overexerting themselves in post-production with all of the work that's being done.
The Harsh Truth said the lavender brown character in Harry Potter started out as a black girl, but he became the white blonde girl when she was dating Ron.
Was she the...
I have no idea what that's referring to. I know I watched the movies, but I don't remember anything about them.
Was that lavender? I know they kept Dean Thomas. Maybe I'm misremembering.
How long has it been since you watched Harry Potter?
Long time.
Over a decade?
No, but years. And a long time since I've read the books, so...
Well, they're Christmas movies, so now would be the time.
They are Christmas movies, whether people like it or not.
Pat the Plumber said Aquaman was a white guy. What about it? Did we say that he's not?
Well, Jason Momoa is not white. He's...
Okay, come on. He's white. Jason Momoa, like, for all intents and purposes, is white. I looked at him, I saw a white guy, so that's what it means.
You saw a tan guy?
I saw a tan white guy. Like, come on now.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, how is no one saying Seth Rogen? Overrated as heck. I think there were some people saying that. But mostly... No, it was mostly The Rock who was getting hate on that tweet. But it needs to be said.
All right, let's hold off on the rest.
All right. Right now, I see that Lindsay Lohan is going through a bit of a career renaissance. Not because she's getting, like, fantastic movie roles or anything, but really just because she looks incredible. And she seems to be weirdly aging in reverse. There was a period of time back in the aughts, the 2010s, where she really was spiraling. And now that she has gotten sober, started a family, you know, is in a happy relationship, and is merely taking acting roles that she feels good about, she looks better. She is glowing from the inside. She looks younger than she has in many years. She was looking really rough for a significant period of time there, especially in the 2010s.
I mean, me and her kind of like
you're B-Day twins.
We're birthday twins, and
So it's good luck.
we were both, you know, in a rough patch around the same time. So, you know,
you're kind of soul sisters.
we kind of fell on the same timeline.
I want to show some photos to just compare.
Here she is at 18 in 2004.
And then 2014 is kind of after things got bad. She doesn't look really good in that photo. And then here is her now. What's going on?
I'm going to be honest.
She's 38 years old, and this is what she looks like now.
I'm going to be honest. Like, if I look at these two photos, this very easily to me, and I understand that it's real and there's not a filter on there, but even the plastic surgery makes her look like somebody put a filter over the top of her face. I'm not even saying it's bad, but this just looks like a filter over the top of this.
Even the plastic surgery has plastic surgery.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to deny for a second that this is unnatural, for sure. Like, you can see some serious work was done, but thankfully she still looks like herself. There were some other before photos that showed how extreme this transformation was.
This is just the same problem that Rachel Zegler has in Snow White. It's the hair. The hell is that hair?
But you can see the difference in her skin tone, everything, the quality of her skin, the amount of fillers that she had to get dissolved as well in her lips. She went way overboard with those. She had sun damage on her skin that was visible back then. There was also, she got a totally unnecessary rhinoplasty in her 20s.
I did like this post from KFC Barstool. He says, Lindsay Lohan's doctor is the GOAT. Barry Bonds in 2004. Jim Carrey in 1994. Jordan 90 to 91. LeBron 08 to 09. And DMX in 1998. Oh, in 2007, Tom Brady.
So how much of this do you think is plastic surgery, and how much of this do you think is how much she changed her lifestyle? You know?
I think those go hand in hand. I think you have to do both. It's like when they talk about, like, you can't get abs just by doing a lot of crunches and working out. It's what you eat too. Like 80% what you eat, 20% work. Or what's the saying? They say abs start at the dinner table and end with leg day. Like that's what matters. So look, you can't just look for the doctor option. You have to put in the work as well.
Yeah, I saw a post kind of explaining how deeply involved this process must be. They said this is very real and costs between $200,000 and $300,000 depending on how much damage has been done from previous surgeries and treatments or age. The plastic surgeon the plastic surgeon who does this surgery is based in New York and is an expert in doing, quote, everything at once. Instead of a regular facelift, they go through and lift every part of the face individually, which stops the face from looking pulled and instead relocates skin, tissue, and fat to where they were originally. When the face is still, it looks pretty natural. When it moves, it just looks Botoxed. Unless you saw the before and afters, you would never guess how extreme the surgery was. This isn't skincare, lasers, facials, or treatments. It's extreme and expensive surgery. Don't let these people sell you products that, quote, made them look younger. So now she's going to get like a brand deal with some skincare brand, and everyone's going to be like, oh, this is what made Lindsay Lohan age in reverse by 20 years.
Just now, if she sells like, you know, if she's doing something with like something changing her diet, right? Like, this is the stuff that I eat, even if that I would buy. That seems less manipulative than some skincare brand.
A lot of people who are more willing to give her credit are saying this is actually the result of her not doing drugs anymore, not drinking anymore, not having this, you know, extremely tumultuous private life anymore. She has settled down and gotten into a relationship with a man she loves. She has had a child with him. at this point. She's completely changed her lifestyle.
Yeah.
The person she was, you know, getting arrested all the time and having court dates, like it was Amanda Bynes.
Yeah. Yeah, she could have easily gone the other way.
She could have easily ended up being Amanda Bynes.
I'm going to need to call
It's good
her.
to see that she didn't.
Can you get me the number for her plastic surgeon? Because me and her are the same age.
Do you want to get the everything lift?
I'm going to need to get the everything lift so I don't have to look my age anymore. That's what I'm looking to do.
You're going to have like the fox eyes.
Yeah.
Everything.
Just pull everything
pulled.
up and down at the same time.
You're never going to smile again.
Hey, that could be a good reason. It's like maybe people who don't smile look younger longer because they don't have smile lines, but they don't frown either. People who are stoic should look younger forever because they don't have frown lines or smile lines.
One person said her transformation is wild, very beautiful, but nothing like the real Lindsay. She got an entirely new face. We live in scary times. It's okay to accept ourselves as we are. We can't run away from nature forever. Even her new face will eventually age. I only disagree with this take because the only reason she looked so bad in the first place is because she was mistreating her body. This is the way that she was aging in her late 20s and early 30s is not normal at all. It was rapid paced and she looked terrible because of the way she was treating herself. Once she fixed those problems, I can't blame her for wanting to turn back time. Most people don't age like, you know, at rapid pace as soon as they turn 27.
I did like the example. Who was it that said like it's like aging isn't like every year you look incrementally a little bit older. It's like you look the same for 4 years, and on the 5th year you age all 5 years.
Is that what you've experienced personally?
Look, for me, like at 38, I felt like I looked worse like earlier, like years before because of the drugs and stuff like that. But that, you know, that's because you're not like you're way too thin. Your face is gaunt. Now I look at it and I'm like, wow, you were so thin. But the point is like you look haggard because you're not sleeping the right amount. You're not eating the right stuff and stuff like that. To be fair, I'm not eating the right stuff now either. Fair. But I do sleep better than I used to. And maybe even just having the confidence of knowing that you're taking care of yourself, at least a little bit better, goes a long way in your appearance. But I mean, depending on the day, I feel exactly my age, and most of the time I don't. Most of the time I feel younger than I don't feel like I'm getting close to 40. But you know, looking close to 40 and being close and feeling close to 40 aren't the same thing. If I had to choose between the two, I'd choose feeling like I'm younger than I am, rather than looking like younger than I am. So.
Now, Lindsay Lohan has obviously gotten a lot of work done, but Paris Hilton, on the other hand, actually a longtime friend of hers, claims that she has never gotten any work done. No Botox, no fillers, no surgery, nothing. And she credits all of her anti-aging properties to a home medical spa. Swear on my life.
She looks like a marionette doll in this.
In a good way or
in a creepy way?
I don't know how
this still is creepy.
All right. Well, let's take a look.
Yeah.
It's working.
Thank you. It's Benjamin Button.
It's really impressive.
Thank you.
Science is crazy.
Button.
I feel really proud that I'm all natural. I've stayed out of the sun. I've never done any Botox, injectables, no surgery, nothing. And
what?
My mom...
She's like, I just drink the blood of children.
It's adrenochrome.
Mom told me, like, when I was 8 years old, Paris, stay out of the sun. And then she taught me this amazing, like...
No, go into the sun.
I disagree.
Go into the sun.
Just for the record, ladies, do not go in the sun.
Go into the sun.
Do not do that.
Be outside.
I'm telling you, ladies, do not go in the sun.
Enjoy yourself.
She is completely right.
10-step skincare routine. So I've literally been doing that since I'm 8. And I've also...
I think Colonel Kurtz gave the same advice.
10-step skincare routine since you were 8 years old? Like, your mother is a nutcase, but you do look good.
Well, how old is she?
She's like 40 something now. Let me look it up. Let me see what.
Whoever it is,
on this.
do whatever Jennifer Beals is doing to look to look like Jennifer Beals looks at 60.
Have her genetics. Yeah, Paris Hilton is 43. She looks incredible. I'll give her that, and she's probably more natural than most.
Yeah.
But I wanted to listen to the rest of that because she talks about all of the real ways that she like stops herself from aging.
In my house called the Living Spa, and it has like the most epic light, like LED lights, hydrofacial machines, hyperbaric chamber,
I don't know what all that
cryotherapy.
means.
Like it's basically like a real spa that you would like see.
You're gonna live forever.
Yeah, that's the plan.
It's like that guy who keeps trying to live to 200 and he looks exactly his age.
Well, that guy is vegan, which is why he
not
looks
long
like
enough.
shit.
So we need this living spa at the house.
Isn't that beautiful though, to have a partner where like you want forever, ever and ever and ever, as long as you can get with that person.
Yeah.
So I just believe after watching this that Paris Hilton cryogenically freezes herself instead of sleeping in a bed at night.
When you can find someone that does that.
Maybe she's just a vampire.
Maybe she like submerges herself in goo
You gotta
at
listen
night.
to the album
from Gwyneth Paltrow. Goop.
She submerges herself in goop.
Please, all of Paris's music is weird.
Okay. Yeah. There's. I still say get some exercise. Go out in the sun. It's good for you. I'm not saying bake in the sun all the time.
No, I'm not saying it's bad for you to go in the sun, but if your primary concern is how you look, all of it is bad. All sun exposure will age you at any level. That is the truth. That is like the number one skincare thing that you are told is don't go in the sun.
They don't talk about in these things is like, look, when COVID was going on and no one was going out and getting any exercise and everyone was cooped up in home all the time, sure, maybe they're not getting any of that sun exposure that could do damage to their skin, but they're also miserable and unwell. So being bad mentally can affect how you age as well. Poor mental health and not taking care of yourself internally can also have ramifications. So you have to find a middle ground, I am sure.
There was a 20, but I'm not seeing it. Is it the one from Jose Quintana? Or am I behind here? No, I think we're okay. Actually, maybe I'm wrong. I don't see it
Corey Anderson?
No, we read that one. Another example that I wanted to get into
about being defamed.
Yeah, we already read that one. Another example that I wanted to get into in regard to Hollywood actresses and aging is Millie Bobby Brown. Millie Bobby Brown just shared a new photo shoot marketing her Mills fashion line.
She does look like a divorced mom already.
She's sitting here in full face of makeup, in her clothes, and a lot of people are just commenting that she's already gone from 18 to 30 in like the span of a year.
She's giving Jennifer Coolidge, and she's only 21.
But is it really just the makeup? Like, maybe it's just the way that she does.
Might just be it's probably the makeup.
Does her makeup because you're used to seeing her without it. I mean, she doesn't look bad for her age. How old is she?
21 or 22.
She's 21 or 22 years old. I saw some comments that were pretty scathing. Kind of seems like this is the look Caitlyn Jenner was going for. LOL, she looks late 30s. Hollywood effed her up.
She still looks traditionally attractive. She just looks older than she actually is. And there's actually a perfectly reasonable explanation that she could just look like this for the next 20 years.
Average 48-year-old Hamptons housewife. Drake just collapsed. Oh, no.
Like, I think I bet you if you looked at her with no makeup on, she'd look very different.
Plastic surgery and lip fillers are also being blamed. I don't know. I mean, I would say she looks older than 21, but does she look 40? No.
No.
I think they're exaggerating it a little bit. Yeah. It's just funny that this keeps coming up because there was recently this I think an A24 film called The Substance starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. And the whole thing, from what I understand, is about the fear of aging and, you know, women succumbing under the pressure of the male gaze to look young forever. This woman basically has a body double of herself so that she can continue looking young. And then they end up in a war against each other.
Yeah.
And Kim Kardashian went to go see this movie recently, and she posted
I saw that
after the fact saying, Demi Moore looks so good, so amazing in The Substance. Oh my gosh. And then
Everyone's like, that's what you took away from
That's
it.
literally not the takeaway. The takeaway is supposed to be that her looks don't matter and that she's a person at the end of the day or whatever.
Oh, that's just, I mean, that's just lame.
Which is
You're
also
allowed
cope.
to
It's a
interpret a
cope.
movie however you want.
Yeah.
And if that's what she took away from it, then the art was effective because she had a take at all.
Yeah, maybe Kim was right. So let's finish up these super chats.
That's a shirt she should make. Maybe Kim was right.
Ruben the Imitator said, "Oh, Mary, Sir Laurence Olivier, a dearly oh, did I already read this one?
We
Wait,
are
that's
almost
not-
to a third crisis party, guys. That's stage 2, I think.
Moore's. Why did you? I think he just repeated the same message. Corey Anderson said, "Almost to 250K. Nice. How come Vera Dark has her play button and y'all don't? Also, I spent some of my weekly super chat funds on Vera's stream this weekend. Well, that's good. You should support both of us.
Vera's great.
She has her play button because YouTube hates us and they don't hate her. That's why. We are actually orphans on YouTube." Corey Anderson said, "Does she stream her showers, her sleep, her BMs? Hopefully not, but I've never watched, what was her name? Emily CC. Yeah. I've never watched anyone on Twitch. I'm glad to say I've never had a Twitch account."
I did want to point out one of my favorite examples of whitewashing in movies. I was just looking it up when we were finishing that segment. Is when in Argo, Ben Affleck plays the main character, who's a real person and is of Hispanic. Is Hispanic, and Ben Affleck is of course not. But the guy gave him the go ahead. He goes, "Good, I like Ben Affleck."
Ben Ryder said the Truman Show was frighteningly prophetic. I guess that girl is literally living it. Yeah.
She is. I mean, by choice, though.
Right. Corey Anderson said, "You think you hate white women, but you don't."
That came in when we were looking at the Moana thing.
If someone super chats $500, would you read it? I think that has happened before, and we did read it. So.
If anybody wants to
Yes.
super chat $500, we'll read it.
Corey Anderson said, "Why are the dwarves all white? That's racist." They were all white, now that I think about it. So they made all of them CGI, but none of them were allowed to be diverse. How does that work? Corey Anderson, no, not that, Jon Stewart. Godot is giving me Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern floating head.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I wonder if it was CGI around her. I wonder if she's wearing like CGI.
On the Snow
trailer,
White trailer? Well, she was wearing a hood around her head.
It looked kind of fake. Something about it looked fake.
Corey Anderson said, "If the studio purrs, whistle while you twerk."
Oh, because
by the Yin Yang Twins.
That would be amazing.
In Snow White, I will go and see it.
That's what they should do.
puts whistle while you twerk, and I will commit. I don't know if I even want to say that because I don't know what that means in Japanese. Afterwards as penance. I don't know what that means. I'm not even gonna go there.
I think sewer slide.
Okay, then I don't want to read that out loud. Shane H. Wilder said, "Because of the stuff I do, I have my computer monitor color and light calibrated. The Snow White stills are extremely underexposed, and some look like they just used the raw footage. It's so lifeless."
Yeah, it does.
Maybe they did, because it certainly looks like it's just unedited footage.
It's not.
Like, how the hell did that happen? Like, how though? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know.
Shane H. Wilder said Laurence Olivier wore blackface in Othello.
There you go.
Okay.
Here's some other examples. Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton from Exodus, Gods and Monsters. Ridley Scott faced extreme backlash for casting Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton and many other Caucasian actors in his biblical epic. Bale as Moses and Edgerton as Ramses II.
What were they supposed to be?
I guess Middle Eastern. Of Middle Eastern extraction. They mention Christopher Abbott and Alfred Molina as Afghan characters in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
I haven't heard of any.
Emil Hirsch in Speed Racer. The Wachowski siblings whitewashed the entire main family in Speed Racer based on the 1960s. Yeah, that's what they said. Japanese anime. I mean, that's what they said about Scarlett Johansson and Ghost in the Shell too, but nobody cared because, I mean, there was a backlash online. But again, like I always said, Scarlett Johansson is a name, and you can sell a movie on Scarlett Johansson's name. Corey
Anderson said, I would have been offended if he didn't do blackface. Can you raise the volume by 2 or 3 notches?
Which volume?
I don't know. Of us talking? Do we sound quiet? Justin Aliati said the new Snow trailer feels like it's going to be Snow White and the Huntsman, with the Huntsman with the 1937 version of Snow White. That entire super chat made 0 sense. I don't know what you were trying to say.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Try again.
Jake Gyllenhaal in Prince of Persia. Disney and director Mike Newell opted to cast Jake Gyllenhaal over an Iranian actor in the lead role for their Prince of Persia.
I thought Iranians were white.
Video game adaptation.
Schrodinger's Effery said Max runs out of or fills up on gas in all 4 movies. I never watched the original movies.
Say it
Stefan
again.
Buttle. They're talking about
Fast and Furious?
No, they're talking about Mad Max.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, they got to get the gas.
Stefan Buttle said final scene in Fast and the Furious, Dom shifts into a special gear that time travels back to original Fast and the Furious to then start a modern reboot.
Oh my gosh, you are speaking my language. Let's go.
Shane H. Wilder said to the new viewer who wanted to know Mary's origin story, go back and watch episode 546, the 100K special from February 12th. Still no play button, WTF. I was saying the same thing. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to know the real backstory about why I'm here, you'll go back and investigate.
Jennifer Connelly in A Beautiful Mind.
I haven't watched any of these, and I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, these were whitewashed characters.
That's why I have no idea what it means.
Yeah.
So there certainly are not any recent examples either.
Yeah,
none of them are recent.
All of these are 2017 or earlier.
Right, exactly. There's a new set of rules in Hollywood since then. Sir Squatch said, Brett, what's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling theme songs?
I thought about this. I saw that.
Your Mount Rushmore.
I don't know if I can come up with 4. I can give you 3 that I like a lot. Obviously, the Triple H Motorhead theme, Play the Game, not the corporate version, not King of Kings. The Disturbed version of Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme, it's very important. The Disturbed one that he used after he came back in 2001, right before the really crappy heel version they gave him that was like just an instrumental. That one sucked, but the Disturbed version of it, and then AJ Styles' theme, the one he came into WWE with. Other ones that I would think of would be like the DX theme song was really, really great. There's a lot of them, but I'd have to have more time to think of it. But those first 3 came to my mind right away. Or of course, Hulk Hogan's theme. Hulk Hogan is perhaps the greatest theme in all of wrestling.
Serengo Productions said, so excited for season finale of Murder in a Small Town. Hope y'all are caught up. The 4 other people watching this show, LOL. Hope this is season 2.
It is literally probably you, me, and 4 other people. I did like the last episode. I'm finding the PTSD storyline with Kristen Cruick's character to be a little bit bleh. It's just 3 episodes. Come on, get over the kidnapping already. Am I right? Am I right? If people can get, walk around with gunshots and be perfectly fine in TV shows, let's speed up the trauma storyline a little bit. I will say that what the show proves each and every week, that there is no less safe small town in the world to live in than Gibson's, where a new murder seems to happen like every 4 days in a town that's supposedly like very, very small and everyone knows each other. You walk in the library, hi, Bill, hi, Mark. Everybody knows each other, yet somebody's dying constantly. Just doesn't seem very safe to me. He's not very good at his job.
I mean, Twin Peaks kind of had the same vibes. Is it like Twin Peaks?
No, it's not supernatural in any way. It's just a murder mystery with way too many murders happening in a small town.
Corey Anderson said Lavender is white in the book, just like Hermione.
Okay. Thank
conflicting
you.
reports.
That did not. Again, I know Dean Thomas was black, but I didn't know that Lavender. Didn't think Lavender was, but I could be wrong.
Shane H. Wilder said, everyone, so how about this one thing? Meanwhile, Brett, man, F Bob Dylan and the horse he rode in on.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
It always somehow comes back to your hatred.
There's
of Bob
never,
Dylan.
It's never a bad time to talk about how Bob Dylan sucks.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, Mary reading Whistle While You Twerk sent me. I'm glad I could provide some amusement.
Some levity.
Gordon Shumway said, I think Hollywood's past of whitewashing is what the woke mob will use to justify all of the race swapping. For the record, my favorite is John Wayne as Genghis Khan. That's just comical.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know about that one.
I do love, look, here's one. Did you ever see the Marco Polo show on Netflix? That's a good one to watch. Nobody liked it except for me. I'm pretty sure.
I barely even remember.
Remember,
that
like it's one of the,
coming
it had amazing. Every season had like fantastic trailers, and the show is just kind of all right. But as far as like, if you want a precursor, something that really predicted the absolute waste that these studios would, just the millions of dollars they would spend on something that nobody would go watch them. Look at the money that was sunk into this show, where Netflix is like, this is going to be our Game of Thrones, and literally no one's watching but me. It was fun though.
Shane H. Wilder said, Surinko, it's just you, me, and Brett watching. Wait, what is
Murder
this?
in a Small Town.
Oh, Murder in a Small Town is the.
It really is, man. And here's the thing. We're up through episode 7. I got through half of episode 6 and just had to.
Everyone says they want original content, but then they don't watch it.
Yeah.
When it comes out.
But it's still based on a book, from what I understand. Like Murder in a Small Town's based on the character.
So was Bullet Train, but nobody read the.
It's fun.
Book.
It's fun.
You know.
But it's really a lot of fun. I do think that they failed to really make the side characters as interesting as they need to. To have a main character that's as dry as Rossif Sutherland portrays, Chief Allberg. You need to have a very, very engaging cast of characters around him, and everybody else is kind of just as dry as he is. And it works for him because he's shown as being very methodical in how he solves crimes, but they don't spend enough time with him doing that to really justify it. But I'm still enjoying it, me and the 4 other people.
Surinko Productions said more like Murders in a Small Town. Am I right?
Many, several murders in a small town.
Jared Klein said was the Japanese term seppuku, which is honorable suicide.
There you go.
Well, Corey Anderson said some other word than that I had no recognition of, so I didn't want to take a risk.
All right, we got a third crisis party.
Nice.
That is good, and that will go off before. I will not.
Well,
I
guess
not screw you guys out of the third crisis party today.
This time they're burned from last time. They're burned from Friday, so.
Yep. That's why we got 3. All right. Yeah, I don't know. It's it might be interesting to do a topic one day with more research about the when the whitewashing characters and when it stopped and stuff like that. A good example fairly recently, though I guess only up to 2017 or 2016, would have been Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange as the Ancient One. But that was because Disney was kowtowing to China, and they're like, we don't want a Tibetan character.
I just think if you're selling it to a majority white audience, it's fine, right? I wouldn't care if a Chinese movie studio made a version of Snow White where everyone's Chinese.
None of these studios think of themselves as Western studios anymore. They're seen as multinational. They're not making movies just for the West anymore.
We have a 20 from High Voltage 75. Brett, you're driving through Minnesota during a blizzard and your car breaks down. Phone dead, stranded. The only person who stops to save you is Bob Dylan himself, who insists on playing his new music for you on the drive home. What do you do?
I'll tell you what I do. Are you ready? What I do is I say, stop. And then I ask if he knows anybody that can help me find the ghost of Prince so that Prince can help me, and then we can listen to Prince on the way home. But we can't do that because Prince isn't alive anymore, which is very sad because Prince is amazing and Bob Dylan is not.
In a just world, Prince would have outlived
Exactly.
Bob Dylan.
I'm being hyperbolic. I just find his music boring. And if I wanted somebody to just warble and talk to me, I'd find an old person to go talk to at a store. You know, a Walmart greeter. I would ask a Walmart greeter their life story. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
Eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
Thank you.
Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
You never dance.
Okay, guys. Oh, somebody mentioned Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, that's good. Liam Neeson. Yeah. All right. There's one more.
I don't.
Says Brett closed. It says Brett closed the poll.
Time to close the poll.
We are going to do that right now. Yes, we do.
Who is the most overrated?
68% say The Rock.
And then Ryan Reynolds at the bottom?
Yep.
Oh.
People like Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool. Also, depending on the age of our audience, Ryan Reynolds is like part of my generation.
Definitely.
So, you know. Everyone knows that Van Wilder is a masterpiece, and it still is. All right. One more there. Oh, there's two more there.
Well, you do your outro, then I'll do it.
All right, before we go, guys, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already? Please remember that tomorrow we will have our last show for the week. It is a big Thanksgiving week special. It's going to be 3 hours long. We will start at 2 p.m. tomorrow, so you should come and hang out with us. We're going to have a rotating cast of characters to guest with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mary, go ahead and read those
All
super
right,
chats.
that Stanzatastic said the sound seems different, also high. I hope not.
It should not sound different.
Shane H. Wilder said, in the classic Charlie Chan films of the 30s, Chan was played by Warner Oland and then Sidney Toler, both white. Great mystery movies. Jared Klein said, is Pedro Pascal, a Chilean-American actor playing a Roman character in Gladiator 2, considered cultural appropriation? Doubt there will be any outrage.
There will not.
Because it's Pedro Pascal. And V-Wit said, last. That's Stanzatastic. Said, let's go for a fourth or save money for the boom.
The boom.
Well, tomorrow's episode is going to be a boom.
Tomorrow
so you might
will be a
want to
boom.
save that.
Yep.
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific, except for this week, of course.
Yes.
I have to preface that. Tomorrow, again, big 3-hour show, 2 to 5 p.m. for Thanksgiving. And remember, we're going to have a bunch of different people in here. It's going to be a lot of fun, so you should come and hang out with us. It's going to be enjoyable. If you want to listen to the show rather than watch it, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would prefer to listen rather than watch, you can rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you should go ahead and give us a 5-star review. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. No, we don't have a blue sky.
Never will.
Never will.
Never a Threads, never a Blue Sky, never... What else is there? Mastodon.
Yeah. Gab.
We're not doing any of that. Shane H. Wilder said, oh, and the short drops at 7 a.m. Central tomorrow.
Let's go.
That Stanzatastic said, I meant the Boom show tomorrow. Yo, last.
I guess
I think you are last. No,
Nope.
V-Wit is no last.
All right.
V-Wit wins, I think.
All right, guys. We will be back with that special episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.